call this to adjourn, not adjournment, to commence. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the first Housing Committee meeting of this session, fall 2024. Very excited to have everyone on here and start the year off fresh. My name is Erin Mazurski. Everyone calls me Maz. I go by Maz. I'm the new chair of the Housing Committee. I've been on the community board since 2022, and last year co-chaired the Education and Libraries Committee. And I'm very excited to be taking on this new role on the Housing Committee. Today's meeting, we're doing a little bit of a like restart, kind of like getting on the same page. I'm excited to meet all of you. I don't believe I know most of you. And so I'm sure you saw the agenda, but just to go over, we're gonna spend a little bit of time doing welcome and introductions, talk through really our critical priorities for this year and what we're hoping to get out of and achieve, or what issues we'd like to tackle this year. We'll then talk about starting to create some goals for the year and what we want to do. Talk through rollover items from last year and get some action items and adjourn. It is my commitment to you that we get out of here by 8:30 every month. And so you can count on that. Any sort of agenda items, we'll make sure that we are being really time sensitive. So yeah, and I have two quick requests. One is that if you can be on video, I would really appreciate it, just so that we can kind of get to know each other a little bit more. I know we were gonna be in person, and I'm grateful that we are not, so we can continue to stay safe amidst this COVID surge. So we're doing our best, but would love. Thank you great to see many of your faces. Thank you. Hello, everyone. This is wonderful. So yeah, I'll start with an intro and then kind of pass it. Actually, sorry. The second thing was, is anyone willing to take notes for today's meeting? At all? I know it's a first thing. Brunella, yeah, is that a volunteer?
I'll try. Okay.
Okay, I appreciate it. I'm gonna take a few notes myself, but I would appreciate. Yeah, it's hard to run the meeting and take the notes, so I appreciate it.
Okay,
thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, so we're gonna do a round of introductions. Like I said, I'll start, and then popcorn it. Whoever wants to go next can volunteer. My name's Erin Mazurski. I go by Maz. I've been in CB9 for 10 years now. My family is from New York. My grandparents grew up in the Bronx. It's where my great-grandparents immigrated from. Or immigrated to, and so I'm a sort of fourth generation New Yorker at this point, and just deeply love this neighborhood and this district. I live here with my partner and my now 2.5-year-old, and housing issues are, quite frankly, very much top of mind for us as we've grown our family and deeply want to stay in the district, and I'll talk more about that after. But yeah, it's great to be here, and I'm again excited to be working with all of you. So I'm gonna pass it to let's see how this goes. I'm gonna pass it to the person to the right of me on the screen, which is actually also Unella. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, and then you can just pass it to whoever's to the right of you. Hopefully that works.
Okay, thanks. It's Yanela. And yes, you're getting it almost perfect. But thank you. I've been on the community board for close to 12 years now. I've always been on the housing committee. I represent Michelama Development in the district as the board chair. And so I am focused on housing and affordable housing for people who live in the district. I'm willing to serve and to help in whatever way we can, and to bring awareness to whatever housing issues that's going on. So thank you, and hope we have a great year this year. And who is next to me? I can't see. Who's to my Khalid? Who's to my right?
It's Diane on my screen.
It's Diane. So yes, I can. Hi, Diane. I pass it to you.
All right. So good evening to everyone. Good evening. Good evening. It's good to see everyone and be here on this committee to meet everyone. I actually thought we would be meeting in person, but it's okay. But I know that it's coming soon, maybe our next meeting. But I am Diane Wheelis, and actually Diane Wheelis Shepherd is my name. And I have been in the community for quite some time, over maybe 30 something years I've lived in this community. I am a homeowner here and really, really, really love the community. And I'm hoping that this committee is going to be addressing some very, very, very important issues, because there's so many things that are going on. Since I've been in this community, I have seen so many changes, and housing is a great need, And I have seen so many changes, even on my own block, and I'm on President Street. I've seen homes that have been sold, and developers come in and they take homes, maybe 2-story homes, and they make it into apartment buildings. So many different changes, but as I said, housing is for everyone. I am still trying to unpack the word affordable. I have not been able to unpack that yet. And hopefully that's something we all are going to be able to do while we are all on this platform. It's a pleasure to be able to come on this platform. And I have been with the Housing Committee, I would say maybe for the past 7 years, off and on. So I think when I first started, I think Carmen was the chair. And then from Carmen, I believe it went to Beverly. So
yes,
we have a new chair. Welcome aboard. And certainly I'm willing, ready, and able to roll my sleeves up and work. Okay, so thank you to everyone. And once again, it's a pleasure to see and meet everyone today.
Thank you so much.
Now to my right, okay, Khalil, who's to my right? Because to my right, I'm seeing Maz to my right. So Khalil is to my left. So who's next?
Who's right of me? Or go ahead.
The right of you would be okay.
Malcolm? I want to not pronounce your name wrong.
Menachem.
Yeah.
Malcolm.
Menachem.
Menachem.
Yes,
Hi, how are you? Good evening. Thank you very much for the introduction. I'm happy to be here, and I'm new. I've been in the neighborhood for over 30 years. Grew up here and saw how things evolved, and I've been involved with housing issues and on a local level, and trying to get different parts of the community to work together for over past 12 years. I've been involved with issues like that, and I'm happy to be here to see what we can do to improve the quality of life, maintain what we have, and keep the place and keep our community and keep the streets, and keep this home for our future generation as well. So looking forward to be working with everyone and to have a great year and accomplish as much as we can all together.
All right.
Thank you.
I can go. Hi, my name is Lisa Etienne. I am a lifetime resident of Crown Heights. I own a home here. And just like many of you, I've seen a lot of changes coming into the neighborhood, some for good, a lot not for good. I'm trying to see how I can be of some assistance and to provide some value and to see how we can continue to improve the housing situation here in Crown Heights and in CB9. And this is my first housing committee meeting. So thanks for welcoming me.
I guess, forgive me. I have no voice, but were you finished?
Yes,
Glad to have you.
I'm not a long talker.
I won't be either tonight because I don't feel too well, but I'm Augustine. I've been on the community board about 12 years. I'm Miss Perry's second in command here at Harry Silver and have just as vital interest in housing as everyone else. And it's a very serious topic that needs addressing. So I look forward to us accomplishing some stuff this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Augustine. I'm gonna go with Frank. If you're able to introduce yourself. Okay, otherwise, Renisha.
Hello, good evening. My name is Renisha. I am a long-term resident of Crown Heights. It's my first year on the community board, and I am excited and pleased to serve. I feel like housing is a right for all of the residents that are currently living in our neighborhood, and that right should be protected. So I look forward to this upcoming year.
Thank you. Janice, are you able to unmute and introduce yourself?
Hi, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the new chairmanship of the Housing Committee, and good evening to everyone. My name is Janice Granum. I am a longtime, I guess you could say, interested participant in Community Board 9 affairs. I have been attending meetings and participating in activities for quite some, several decades. I am a homeowner in Community Board 9. I'm a longtime resident of the community. I have a lot of concerns with regards to the Housing Committee, and I am specifically interested in making sure that not only can people stay in their homes and not be scammed from their homes. I'm also interested in people not being put out of their apartments, being displaced. A lot of longtime community members, residents, have been displaced because of these high rents. And it's just wrong. It's, you know, they have nowhere else to go. I'm also, I hope that we will delve into what affordable housing really, really means, as well as effecting some changes regarding the AMI, the area median income, because clearly the area median, the AMI here in CB9 is not the same as it is on the Upper West Side, or at least it should not be, put it that way. I'm also very interested in making sure that housing is appropriate in terms of the way the buildings are developed, that they are not out of character. As you know, we had a very big issue with two over 30-story buildings proposed to be built on Franklin Avenue. And thankfully, the community, everyone banned it, and we eliminated that. But it seems like there's other things going on. We want to make sure that everything is in decent order in the community, and that, well, that's about it for now. I'm glad to be back on the Housing Committee again. This is my second year. Prior to that, I was on the Economic Committee, I think it was, for 1 year. But I've always been attending meetings and giving input and, finding out what's going on in the community for over 20 years. So again, I just want to say welcome and hi to everybody. That's it.
Thank you so much, Janice. Appreciate it. Appreciate you being here. We got two more. Maxine, are you able to introduce and unmute and introduce yourself? Great.
Good evening, everybody. I am a community member. Welcome to all the new members, and yes, hope you have a good year.
Thank you for joining, Maxine. Unless, I think we've got one more. Jay, do you mind unmuting and introducing yourself?
Can you hear me? I'm looking for the view. Okay, great. I see it now. So my name is Jay Sorid. I am a former member of the Community Board 9 Housing Committee, who spoke out on a lot of issues last year. And this year, I am not on the committee. So you can see how things work. And my goal is to inform people about all the vital Brooklyn issues that are happening in the East Flatbush. And I hope that people on the committee can speak out and are not afraid to speak out for what they really believe in, and are not afraid of the politics which holds people from speaking out. And to tell everybody, last year, 5 of the 10 housing committee meetings were canceled. And there were many general comment periods that were not answered. And I hope that this year people can maybe, I hope that people do a better job. And if anybody wants to know what's going on in the district, there's a group that formed in East Flatbush of residents who live there. I'm not a resident. I'm a member of the Kingsbrook Jewish Shul, and I'm a former property owner in Community Board 9, but I'm not a resident. So my connection or my significant interest is just that I'm a member of a temple there. But the website, and I'll say it if anybody's interested, it's saynotoless.com. The idea of say no to less of equality, So it's saynotoless.com. And you'll see a group of residents who've lived in the neighborhood for years and who want basically who want justice for East Flatbush, and they want a voice. So that's saynotoless.com. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you. Unless Frank, I'm going to give you one more chance. You can always pop back in and introduce yourself, but just want to give you one more chance before we move on to the next agenda item to unmute and introduce yourself. Okay. Frank can always pop back in and intro. So this is already amazing. It sounds like we've got a very passionate group. I'm glad to be in good company there. I think you'll see my passion come through as well as we talk more. And so I actually just want to open the floor for conversation to talk about some of the critical priorities that we have this year that we want that we want to address. So like I said, I'm new, I'm coming up to speed. I think my biggest connection to housing is just that, I'm living it right now. That housing is unaffordable, it is sparse, and that people are getting very quickly pushed out of this neighborhood. And I'm working with Dante to get up to speed on some of the bigger initiatives that are also impacting this community, like Vital Brooklyn, like City of Yes. But like many of you, I would love to talk more and unpack this question of affordability, and sort of how we can work towards it together. Also want to work with homeowners and landlords to make sure that you all have access to the programs you need to make sure your homes are you get the access that you need to keep your homes nice. And I know that materials costs are going up and all of that, and it's getting increasingly hard. And so I share many of your commitments to making sure that we can all stay in this neighborhood, that our friends and families can stay in this neighborhood, and that we're sort of working towards affordability on all fronts. So that's just a brief overview, but the way I see it is that we're going to be shaping our priorities and agenda together. And that starts with kind of hearing from all of you a little bit more of what you already started sharing about what we would like to focus on, or sort of critical issues that are really on your mind, pertinent to you right now. So I'm going to just open the floor. Go ahead, Yanela.
Okay, so I'm just gonna piggyback on what Jay said, and I'm like in the heart of it, right? Harry Silver is a Mitchellama. It's 6 stories, and we're under the supervision of HCR. However, what we found is that the original Vital Brooklyn plan that was done a couple of years ago under the former Assembly person Diana Richardson and Governor Cuomo has been changed. They took into consideration the fact that HCR was also involved. We had a lot of community involvement and meetings, and simply because HCR was going to fund some of the initiatives, they wanted to be clear that our building was built in 1952. It's an old building. It's only 6 stories high. There are certain amenities that we'd like to have. Say, for instance, we were looking into getting solar panels because, the old buildings, how with the oil and, so we're trying to be a little more conscious as far as moving forward with, green spaces and all of that. So the HCR, we had discussed getting solar panels. Originally, the building next to us was going to be not more than 6, maybe 7 stories, so not to overshadow our development. Fast forward, Diana Richardson is no longer the assembly person, and things have changed. These buildings are now 12 and 14 stories all around us. So you have the Kingsbrook Jewish Hospital, which is now, they have a 10-story building. Now they're going to be building up to about 12 or 14. They're right across from us. You also have adjacent to us, or on the other side, the parking lot for Kingsbrook Jewish, which is now going to be a supermarket. I understand initially is going to be underneath, and on top of it, it's going to be another, it's going to be as high as 12 to 14 stories. On our other side, and that's on East 40, this on 48th Street and Rutland, those 2 buildings. On Rutland and Schenectady, across from us is also going to be, there's a church there that was bought, and now the church is going to be another 12 stories. So fast forward, the solar panels that the state is thinking of enhancing our development in making it a little more green conscious and giving us what we need, we're only 6 stories. So now everything is going to be overshadowed. And that was the original plan that the state had put in place, that so as not to overshadow our development, that they would hold everything less than, I think that the highest was going to be like 7 stories. But now with new sheriffs in town, everything has changed. So we're in a predicament as now all the plans that we had for our development has now changed. And all this was done without us being informed. There was no meetings. There was nothing in the community as to say this is going to happen. There were talks in the housing committee, but there was no engagement in the community. I've reached out to the new assembly person in trying to get meetings ever since for quite a couple months now in our development. And for this, we have homeowners as well that are interested in doing so. And so far, nothing. So we're still in the fight of our lives to try and get some green initiatives going, but we're being stalled because the big developments have now surrounded us. That's one of the big initiative that we have and we're trying to work towards, but seems as if, you know, our development, as small as it is a losing battle because nobody seems to be taking our cause. That's just my little issue this evening going forward. Thank you. Anybody else want to say something?
I'll say something. I feel for you and your buildings for sure. I think what this committee should be doing is trying to ensure, like, not stop development, but make sure it's the right size development, right? Because even as homeowners of, I have a 2-family that has solar. What if the buildings behind me get sold and they want to build up? That's
Correct.
going to impact me,
Yes.
right? And we might not know that this is happening until it's too late when they start putting up the building.
Correct.
So how do we ensure that homeowners and property owners are aware of what's coming?
And most of this is as of right.
Mhm.
So that's the other thing, that is as of right. So they have, as long as they can get it passed through, it's as of right, and that's how everything is being done. So it's fairly difficult, and you know, that's one of the things that we're facing, that most of the stuff comes about. And I had a conversation with our current ascended person, Brian Cunningham, and his team, letting him know that this was not the original plan. I do have the original plan as to what was the original intent and the height and the buildings that were there. And since I said, what changed? I guess because now the guards have changed, and the governor has changed, and also the assembly person has changed. So I said to him, this was not it, you know, but I think, you know, the big construction companies, they seem to barrel in, and I understand people are looking places to live, and I'm not negating that fact. What I'm looking at is also the quality of life for the existing people that are there. And that's what people don't understand, is that we have shareholders living there over 100 years old. You know, we have people and families, that kids that grew up there now homeowners, you know, and shareholders and their kids. So it's all of this is changing the dynamics and the neighborhood as to how we live. And it's difficult for us to try and fight, you know, the big corporation, because they come in as of right, and that's how they decide that they're gonna go. The homeowners are the same. You sell a house on Maple Street on the block, and before you know it, they're gonna build all the way up to a, you know, past. So that's, everybody is having that angst, and you know, it's like you really don't know how to really put a dent or to try and stop it.
Yeah, they on President between Rochester and Utica, they put a big building in the middle of the block of 2-family homes. I think it's a senior center, or it's senior living. Yeah, senior living. Very out of place.
It's correct.
Out of
Out of
character.
character for the neighborhood.
Yes.
And CB9 is really prime real estate for just about everybody who wants to build and anybody who wants to build. CB9 is really, really booming all around CB9.
Right. So how do we find balance in ensuring the development and like increased development, but not have the development have a negative impact on the existing?
Right, on the character of yeah. It's a difficult balance.
Right.
The other piece that I would like to bring up, if I may.
You know, I appreciate it. I'm gonna open up. I just want to make sure
Yeah.
everyone gets to speak. So let me just open it up for a few other folks
Right.
first. And then I'm happy to circle back to you.
No problem.
Yeah, but so again, just want to hear from as many people as possible. I'm really here to listen tonight about sort of what's on your mind, critical issues. So far, you know, and Lisa, these are really poignant, helpful thoughts, conversations. Rod, welcome. And do you mind
Hello.
introducing yourself really quickly too?
Sure. My name is Rod Herbert. I am a community board member. I am on the Environmental Protection Committee. I'm a new member to the community board, longtime resident within CB9. I've been a resident for 57 years. My family has been involved heavily in the past in the community board, and now they swung it over to me. So I'm happy to be here. And I'm sorry that I'm late. So the reason why I'm late, I just came back from a town hall meeting with Brian Cunningham and a number of other people from the city agencies. I found out about this meeting today, and a number of us attended. And you know, one of the things that we have to do if we are concerned about the changing environment, you know, the buildings, the type of construction, is that we have to get involved. You know, there was a handful of people that were there. You know, but I did make my concerns vocal to Mr. Cunningham with regards to the Vital Brooklyn project that's going to take place over at Kingsborough Psychiatric Center and the other buildings as well on what's that, Utica Crescent, and the other one at 777 Rutland Road. All right. So the whole thing is that, you know, involvement is critical. You know, changes can be made, and depending on what stage that the project is in, it possibly can be stopped. All right. But the thing is that you know, involvement is necessary. I've requested with Mr. Cunningham that we have another meeting sometime in October. All right, I will be out of town, but I will fly in for that meeting to discuss the Vital Building project and other projects that are in the area. One thing that was said by Ms. Perry is that, yes, hey, CB9 is is open for business as far as the developers are concerned, and they want to build everything as high as they can, get away with whatever they can, right? But it's up to us to really get involved. Today, there were a little more than a handful of people that were involved in the meeting today, and that is why we requested that another meeting taking place and given enough time and advertised on a proper platform that individuals would know. All right, I looked on his website, it's not there, but it was on the social media page. And, that's where Jay Sorid, sent it out and let me know about it. And I rushed over there today. All right, but I say this to encourage people that if we're successful and we get this meeting this October, please be there. I'll make sure that community board knows about it. There is I don't have it with me. It's in my car. I came rushed onto this meeting, but there is a text number that he did give us in order to receive information with regards to certain events that are going on via text. But the biggest thing is look at his Facebook page. His Facebook page has a lot of the information on there that's not on his official Assemblyman website page. Right, so
And
keep an
I
eye out for
wonder
that.
why that is.
Well, I'm not here to question that because
Yeah.
we can go on that all day long. The thing
Yeah.
is, this is the information, this is the repository where those dates are, right? And we should all be focused on that repository, right? And if something is not readily available on his website, but we know about it on the social media platform, then everybody should direct themselves to both platforms. All right. And the biggest thing is to make sure that we know when those meetings are and to show up, and also input if the meetings do not are really not conducive to the majority of schedules.
Great. I
Was-
appreciate that, Mr. Herbert. And I'll let you know that I have the original Vital Brooklyn plan.
You do.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to put my email down here, and you can send
Okay.
that to me.
Mm-hmm.
Rod, was there a specific date or they just said in October?
No, so we stated that we would like to have the meeting in October. A specific date has not been set as of yet, all right, but we are working on that, and we're going to get that momentarily. We are working with a young lady who in the community, her name is Sherry Bernard, and I'm going to work with her in order to fast track this to get a date. And we're going to spread the word, but people have to show up. There's strength in numbers.
Right.
So
And
these
I'm
developers
gonna
will turn around and do what they
share-
want to do.
Yeah, I'm going to share my email with them so that we can be on.
Okay. I'm gonna
Yeah,
put my
and
ear-
Jay does. Jay, you have my information too, don't you?
Yes, I believe I do. And also, if anybody, Unella, including yourself or Augustine, if anybody wants to contact Rod and the organization that Rod is helping create with other residents, it's
Yes.
say no to less.com where it'll go to Rod also, but I'm in touch with yours. either.
Right. Just you can send it to me and I'll get some of our other board members and shareholders involved.
Okay, great.
Thanks.
Thank you for that. Any other issues we'd like to surface so that we can start to kind of think and talk about our priorities for this year? One of the things that I heard as people were talking was the issue of affordability and really talking through what does that even mean. I feel like it's really important to define that so that we know what we're working towards. I'm curious sort of what, if anyone who kind of mentioned that wants to elaborate a little bit more on how ideas or how we might focus on that.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question? I was busy typing, I'm sorry.
No worries. Before you came, Rod, we did a round of introductions. Thanks for adding your email to the chat, to your name. One thing I'll say, sorry, before I repeat, if you all should have my email, or I might have all of yours as chair. But I need your permission to share it with the rest of the committee, just the committee members, so that we can kind of be in more open conversation with each other. I think you have to email me that permission, or just raise your hand, I guess. But you can email me. My email is my first initial last name, so E Mazurski, as you see it on my name, at gmail.com. So please email me permission so that it's easier for committee members to communicate with each other. So yeah. So Rod, before you jumped on, we did a round of introductions, and one of the themes that people were talking about was the theme of affordability, both affordability and also making sure, obviously, current residents have a place, that they don't get pushed out, and that there was a desire to talk more about what does affordability really look like, and what does it mean right now. And so, yeah, that was my question, was kind of the context, was I wanted to open it up to talk about that a little bit more and what people's ideas are around tackling that, discussing it.
That's a tough one. Because the nature of the city is changing. It's not like it was years ago.
Well,
Yeah, I know.
how
It's
is
horrible.
how is AMI derived? If we understand how it's derived, if we can, I wonder if our numbers are skewed for some reason, and how do we unskew them to get it down to the right amount? I personally don't know.
Yeah. And is that in the context, just so that I'm clear what we're talking about in that sense, is that in the context of, the city has sort of set affordability numbers in terms of affordable housing, or just generally in terms of, like allowing certain rent or rent stabilization? I'm just trying to understand sort of the context of AMI. Again, I'm really getting up to speed here.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not
Okay,
sure.
okay. Okay.
Just understanding what it is, how it's derived, I think it's a first.
Yeah, that's a good question. It's a really good question. Jay, so you have your hand up.
Yes, just to add on, I think somebody said it before, so I'm not really saying anything new. But somebody made the comment about, the AMI doesn't represent the people here, and it's, the Upper West Side. That's exactly the problem. So there's two different things. There's like a neighborhood income. I'm not sure what the exact term is, either neighborhood income, something similar to that. And then there's the AMI, which basically says we're going to take everybody who's a hedge fund guy in Tribeca, and we're going to factor that in. So people talk about it, but they don't do anything about it. Like in Diana Richardson's 43rd Assembly Vital Brooklyn thing, she mentioned the concept that said, listen, we should be looking at neighborhood income, which is that another woman here said something on that. I don't know the name, so I don't want to try to give credit, but I forget who said it. But the point is that it should not be AMI, and everybody knows that, because you can't have the hedge fund guys in Manhattan and compare it to somebody, in Brooklyn who has, a different level of job. So if you want to go to neighborhood income, what are you going to do about it? And so the answer is and also the greater thing is, what is this community board going to do about it? And the answer is community board resolutions. So the thing, I think, that even though it's advisory, the power of this community board as a voice can issue resolutions as the community board. Now that comes from community board saying, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to put it forth, and there's going to be resistance on the community board for people who you say hello to every day, who on pushing forth something that goes against the politics that may be opposite to what's in your heart. So I would suggest that this concept of neighborhood income, that there needs to be a level where people get to having a community board resolution that comes from committees like this, where the committee passes a resolution, and that comes from two people on the committee where one person is brave enough to make a motion, another person's going to second the motion, and then there'll be a vote, and then it goes from the committee, and then it'll go to the executive committee where there'll be pushback, and then you'll have a resolution saying, Community Board 9 says, we no longer want to use AMI because it doesn't reflect the neighborhood. In the neighborhood, you shouldn't compare an average with neighborhoods like Tribeca. And then you take that resolution of Community Board 9, the voice of the opinion, and then you give it to your city council people, and you say, now do something, because the community board says you want them to do something. And that's how the action gets passed. If I can make two other points just real quick, I don't want to take up too much time. Number one is all of this, the tall buildings and everything else and everything that's coming here. And I know there's there's this concept of the city has certain goals. There's affordability for the city, and they're going to come in saying we have these affordability goals and everything else. But the thing that gets left out is, how is this coming at the expense of the local neighborhood? So you have these city goals, and then you have the local neighborhood. People don't ask the question, is it coming at the expense of the local neighborhood? So I almost, in my mind's like, with the way that the city council works when it goes to ULURP is they always follow the local city council person, in which they say, okay, the local city council person said this. When it comes to a city council person vote, we're all going to vote how, let's say, the local city council person voted, which is called like a member deference. What I would love to see is I would love to see the concept of like neighborhood deference, where in East Flatbush, because we have 4 different neighborhoods, I'd love to see the community board saying, we're going to have neighborhood deference. If all the community board members in East Flatbush, like Rod and Unella and Augustine and different people, if they say from the community board, this is not good for the neighborhood of East Flatbush, I would like to see everybody in the community board, the members, saying we're going to have neighborhood deference and we're going to respect the neighborhood. So we don't have Prospect Lefferts Gardens on one side where everybody's on the land use committee and they ignore the issues of East Flatbush. So the way that you could solve it is by getting rid of the transit zone for the housing. De Blasio caused this, Mayor de Blasio changed things with ZQA, where there's something called a transit zone. The transit zone said that you don't have to produce, you don't have to have parking spots when there's affordable housing. That's what caused these buildings to jack up and go sky high. You would never have been able to do this stuff. So if the community board and the housing committee says, listen, we have a lot of people who drive cars. This transit zone thing, we want to get rid of the transit zone, or we want to make it optional, where something comes in. So the concept of the transit zone with the affordable housing is that when you build, you don't have to have parking. That's why they shoot up. So the transit zone concept, I'd like to put on the table where people can think about that. And I also, in the future, just the last thing would be just a residential beds analysis from Department of City Planning, where they can say how many residential beds for social services are there within this district compared to the other districts, to see if it's oversaturated. And then going beyond that and saying census tract area, where they could look at the census tract area. And the Department of City Planning did this in 1998, where they said this is how many residential beds are available. And that's how you could see if they're doing it in a certain area. So it's community board getting the different agencies and saying, give us the data, do different things like that. And lastly, if the committee was strong enough in the future, you could demand that public advocate's office, who has attorneys who work for him, start taking up the issues. There's issues on Franklin Avenue for housing. There's issues in our neighborhood. There's an issue out there. The public advocate should get involved. And there's also things with a racial impact study, where now the new law says you have to look at racial impact, certain developments. So there's a lot of different things are out there. So I'll just throw that to you to put it out there for the committee. And the last thing I'll say, and I shouldn't be even saying this because I know I'm going beyond my limit, which is a horrible thing I'm doing, but Utica Avenue on the east side is going to get upzoned. So there's various things that are happening in CB 17 that will affect CB 9. Utica Avenue from East New York Avenue straight down south to Lenox is going to be it's going to be going to almost 9 stories residential. So there'll be an impact there also. I want to just tell that to
And
people.
Jay, that's just kind of touching the surface. If you stop and look at how things go in this country, number one, they just raised minimum wage. Federal minimum wage is now $15 an hour. All of these things come into play and are all part of a plan that has been in place for decades. a lot of this stuff, we will never be able to stop. They will always allow us to voice our opinion, but the ink is dried on the damn blueprints already. my opinion.
I
Sorry.
hate to interject. I'm sorry to interject, but I don't want to have a feeling of woe is me because I know that I participated as well as hundreds, thousands of others to keep these two towers from being built on Franklin Avenue. There is hope. If we just, the ink is dry, but there's also ways that they can wash things just like you wash a check and reset it. I would like to remain hopeful that the Housing Committee, along with Community Board 9, will be able to make significant inroads into what's going on. I mean, we know the AMI is tied to the affordable housing. We know the AMI, it's set by the state. Okay, we know people are getting displaced. We know that homeowners are being scammed. There's home theft. I personally would like for Brian Cunningham, all these representatives to come to the Housing Committee meeting, come to us and tell us what they know. That never happened last year, which is my first year on the board. It was requested, but when we talk about projects by the state, projects in the city, we have to talk to the representatives that are in office now and find out, pick their brains. Maybe at the next meeting, have Brian Cunningham, come in and tell us what's going on with housing in CB9. I don't know everything, but I do know that I'm going to remain hopeful and that change is possible with some struggle. But
Janice, I didn't
I-
mean for you to not remain hopeful or not have hope. 29 years of civil servant in this city, dealing with your government officials on a daily basis.
Mhm.
I'm simply saying, at this present time, we are taking in 10,000 new bodies every month. 10,000 new bodies every month. We've been doing that all
Right.
year long.
Where is
Right.
that statistic coming from, Augustine?
No,
I'm
she is.
sorry?
It's a fact. Actually, she is actually right. I'm a
I'm not,
city employee too. She's right. It's
No,
not
I
even a
don't
question
doubt it.
about it.
I don't doubt it. I'm just wondering where I can find that.
where you can find what? The information about the bodies coming into New York? All of the
Oh, into New
immigrants
York or into
The mayor has
the
into New York, right here in Brooklyn, New York, anywhere they can find to put them. They're putting them
Yeah.
upstate and everywhere
that's
there's
Atlanta, though.
available, down to
Yeah.
contacting homeowners and asking them to take people into their homes for money. Yes,
That is
that is what's
correct.
been happening
Yeah,
all
yeah.
year
No,
long.
I knew that. Yeah.
Okay,
I think,
All
yeah,
of
or
this
Menachem.
equates around our rental issues, the MAI, all of that is
Yeah.
connected.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
think
think, go ahead, Amanda.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I think it's important that we know the ramifications of this committee can have that will help everyone to know, the power, or like Jay mentioned a little bit, it's good to know from the onset what can we achieve, from with our voices, and like Jay was talking about making motions. So I think if we would get some idea in that would be very helpful.
I just want to say that Jay, I'm not sure if you still have, but the original Vital Brooklyn plan. You do. I'm not sure if you have a copy, but with everything that Jay's saying, myself and the other gentleman, is that the original plan that Jay was there, I was there at that meeting. So things have drastically changed with this new establishment. So that's one of the things that we can say. This was, and I've said it too, the newest to Brian, that this was not the original plan. I have the original plan. So this and everything else, we were supposed to be having a meeting at our development with the neighborhoods and the neighbors, the homeowners, And that idea was next. I'm still waiting on dates so that we can, because we do have a community room where we were housing everybody, because quite a few neighbors and everybody was kind of up in arms as to where we're going and how we can have a meeting in order to, have dialogue and see how we can come to a happy medium. So we are still hoping to get a meeting. I'll reach out to the Assemblyman's office again, and I'll keep every but one posted if and when we do schedule the meeting and the time, because I think that really we need to at least look to see how best we can try to, as best as we can, preserve some of the quality of life that we've had over this side. And that's just something that we've been trying to get myself or housing committee here, Ms. Blackwell and myself, to see some of our neighbors, to see how best we can. So I'll keep the committee posted with where we are and how, and of course, Jay was very helpful in, and has been with us for a while doing that as well.
Thanks, Yanela. Menachem, I thought your question is very helpful and actually leads us to our next agenda item, which is around setting community goals. The conversation's not over, it's going to be ongoing. And so I felt like this is a really good initial surfacing of issues and concerns. But Menachem, I was also new to community board and to being on committees last year, and I'm open to what other people think. But my view is that this committee here's job is a couple of things. One is we're essentially the liaisons between city government and the community. And so I think that us being able to really make sure that we're very clear on the different actors and that we've got relationships with different folks who are working on housing issues is really important. So it's great that I agree that we need to get Assemblymember Cunningham on the call. I want to make sure that we're hearing from leaders of different tenants associations, homeowners associations, because I think I see it as the more information we collect and the more people we know, the better we're able to get out and serve the community and have the information that people need. So I think that's one, is that we start to continue and build on the relationships that have already been developed, but really kind of more formally develop those relationships. And I know that's happened on this committee in the past. And I want to talk about how we can continue to build on that. The second thing, I think, to Jay's point, is we have the power to create resolutions, which are, obviously strong recommendations and recommendations and that are representative of our community members. I agree that it should be neighborhood deference. Those resolutions should be sort of written and come from people who live in those neighborhoods, because we are many different neighborhoods in CB9. But those resolutions, force us to make sure that we really have our thumb on the major issues, that we are, that we have a voice, that we're representing that to the broader community board and to city government and to our representatives, and making sure that we push on those things. To Janice's point, change is possible. And, I think those resolutions kind of can go a long way because it formalizes the concerns that we're all talking about. So I felt like those are really helpful, helpful suggestions, conversations, and it's one of our roles. And then the third thing is that this isn't true of every committee, but I do think it could be true and should be true of ours, is that there's obviously key issues, key priorities that will continue to play an outsized role in our meetings. So recognizing that Vital Brooklyn is already, you know, a very a big discussion point. We want to make sure that that's something that we're tracking, following, and continuing to get people's perspective and voice on, so that that development is, you know, maybe at this point it's you know, the least damaging, but it's, you know, more people are getting what they want from that. So, you know, I think that making sure that that's a priority this year, that we continue to talk about it and we continue to represent the viewpoints of community members around that, and finding the people and places we need to talk to are a really critical priority. So those are three things that I see. So again, it's developing relationships so that we can be the best liaisons that we can be. 2, it's developing resolutions, and 3, it's taking on major priorities. That's sort of how I see it, but you know, other folks have also been on the community board much longer than me, and I'm open to other thoughts or framings on that.
Okay. Hold on. Gotta get back. Okay. Yeah, hi, it's Rod again.
Hi, Rod.
And I'm doing double duty. I'm going back and forth and doing things and on the call. So excuse me if I sound a little disjointed here. At the beginning of the meeting, when I came in, I think it was Miss Perry is talking about solar panels and a building that's being constructed, and it might obscure the sunlight coming to the solar panels. Am I correct with that or no?
Yes, you're very correct.
Okay, so I have a property in Georgia, and in Georgia, there is a law that every homeowner has the right to sunlight. I'm paraphrasing what the law is down there. All right. And that means that you cannot build or construct anything that will affect your use of the sun. And they came up with this law to promote, you know, the use of alternate energy. Right. In this case, solar panels. So, you know, I feel that that's something that should be in the, I guess I'm going to call it a design checklist, that if a building is to be constructed, right, what shadow or continuous shadow will interfere with existing solar panels, or if someone has a permit already that's filed with the city, will it come into any type of conflict with that proposed permit? So that's something that I think a resolution would help. And maybe that's a resolution that I'm putting forward right now. Right, to have a design spec, all right, followed, or checklist, where any new construction, the owner must take that into consideration, and if constant sunlight obscures the solar panels, you can't build, or the project has to go on for further review. That's the resolution I'm putting forward.
Oh, well, thank you very much, Rod. That seems very, very important to us. And I will be reaching out to New York Home and Renewals tomorrow, so that we could see how best we can move forward with that.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Somebody might have to second the resolution
Second the
before you move
resolution.
forward with that.
Yes, Ms. Blackwell.
To be a
second.
board member to do that, because I want a second, and third, and fourth.
Ms.
Well, listen,
Blackwell,
I'm not,
thank
I'm,
you, Rod.
I mean, I'm not part of this board, but you know, I'm with another board and I'm just helping out here. And I think that's something, I mean, you're just going to mirror what they do right now that's in Georgia.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. And I'm
Thank you,
glad this
Rod.
is recorded. I'm glad this is recorded because I don't ask you to repeat what I just said.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
I will talk to Dante
Yes,
about
okay,
how to move that forward.
right. So it sounds like there was a motion from Mr. Herbert.
Yes.
So there was a first and a second. Is there any, now you can essentially enter in discussion. So
Great.
any,
Thank you,
yeah, any
Dante.
person, yeah, no problem.
So I guess one thing that I would just put forth is I think the tension that we're trying to hold here is that like I'm just reiterating sort of what everyone said, which is that we obviously need more housing. The city needs more housing. There's a insane housing shortage. We need more affordable housing. We need to make sure rents and rents don't continue to go up. And you know, we obviously want to protect homeowners and protect the way of life. And I think sometimes those things are in tension with each other. And so I'm just trying to hold sort of I'm trying to hold those two things with, and also with curiosity. I think I'm still kind of thinking through that and wondering almost, I would love to kind of look into this, but are there almost like a set of principles that we, beyond just solar panels, that we actually want to make sure are being considered, looking at the needs of the district more holistically, of, you know, this need for more affordable housing because the lack thereof is actually forcing rents to go up, but also making sure that we're maintaining. It's a question. I'm just trying to kind of like hold both things.
Okay, can I respond? Okay, because the issue is as I said, Jay, myself, and a few other people do have the original documents. The intent of the original document was, yes, to build, just as they're building now. The state home and renewal, they also they're the ones donating the money for Kingsbrook Jewish. And in lieu of not going up as high as the height to overshadow us, like ours, they were going to build underground parking. So like our development, we have 100 spaces underground. And then we build on top, we're 6 stories, right? The same was the premise that the state offered with the Kingsbrook Jewish, so as not to overshadow, because they were anteing up the money as well. And our development is right across. And with that in mind, they
Vital
did not
Brooklyn,
want it.
Yanela.
Pardon?
Vital Brooklyn.
Vital Brooklyn, yes, thank you. With that in mind, they did not want to overshadow because they knew the plans that was also in place for our development. So with like I said before, the original plan was changed after the assembly person was changed. So the original plan that the community had was changed. When the new plans came out, the community was not informed until after the plans came out, and we saw what came out, and that was everything where everybody was like, this is not the original. This is not original somewhere, because we have the original plan. So the issue is, I understand that there's need for affordable housing. I'm not saying our housing is also affordable, right? So I understand that need, but at the expense of other people, residents that are currently living there. You have homeowners, we have several daycares, We have, the hospital that's gonna be there. It's still gonna be, they're gonna change some of the aspect of the hospital, and the focus of the care that they're gonna give is gonna be just for, really chronic children. So the whole plan was to kind of keep the neighborhood as it was or as it is, but with a little higher flair, not 14 stories up. That's the difference. So they were going to just grandfather in or respect the fact that, this is what the original fabric looked like, and it was not going to be where now you have a 14-story over a 6-story building. And it's not only one 14-story. We have one on Rutland, and on the back of our building, which is also on Schenectady, we have another 14-story that's coming up. So it's like we are now surrounded with these buildings that's really towering over. That's all.
Thank you. I'm going to go in order of hands raised. So we'll do Dante, and then we'll go to Lisa, and then Diane. I'm going to give everyone 3 minutes just so that we can still work to end, can sort of resolve this, and then end on time. And that actually might be too much, but let's try that.
Yeah, no problem. So something that has come up in conversations with other district managers is this City of Yes initiative. Now, I know that the ULURP committee for the board typically is the committee that handles the content per se, but I think that it would be advantageous for this committee as well to focus in on some of the initiatives. One topic of discussion that came up is, we have a lot of rent stabilized apartments in Brooklyn and our community district. And so, as the city is trying to figure out how to make our essentially become carbon neutral, it's going to cost money. That's just the reality of it, right? To retrofit all of these old buildings to meet these standards is going to cost landlords money. That's just the reality of it. And so we all know that in this cycle, there's a possibility that this cost could trickle down to the renters, right? And that's what we do not want. So, I think that it would be advantageous for the committee to look at the City of Yes and try to, I guess, gain an understanding, ask questions, to get an understanding, how will this citywide initiative affect large-scale buildings, rent-stabilized building tenants, Mitchell Lama, so on and so forth. How is it going to affect those buildings who, are going to have to figure out how to retrofit their properties to meet these standards? I think that that's something that we should definitely look at because it's going to be expensive, and we have to figure out a way to make sure that that financial burden doesn't trickle down to renters.
Thanks, Dante. Let's go to Lisa.
Yes, what was I going to say? I was trying to piggyback off of what you had talked about, Maz, about my thought was that this housing committee has a purpose, right? But what is going to be our mission for this year? Maybe if we could collectively try to come up with some sort of mission statement for this year that will help us focus on what initiatives we want to tackle going forward. And then it won't be just like about solar panels, not just about one thing, about holistically thinking about what we try, what are we trying to do here this year?
Yeah, I love that. I'm going to let Diane speak, and then I'll answer that. And yeah, we'll go from there.
Okay, thank you, thank you. So since being in this meeting, I've heard so many things, and that just lets me and all of us know that there are so many things that need to be addressed in the community, especially since the community board, I believe I heard that the community board is more like a liaison. Is that what I heard? Or what is the purpose of a community board when you have developers come in and they can do whatever they want? The Department of City Planning doesn't have to tell you anything. You know, to me, and I agree with Lisa, we probably need to have, you know, a mission statement of where we're going, and so that we can zero in on one or two things, because we're not going to be able to address everything. Although Ms. Perry, what you are speaking about with the 48th Street, Butler Road, the large development there, you know, it seems as though, and I'm not exactly certain, I mean, that's a very important issue. And I think people who live in that community probably have a lot of questions, just like we all probably would have a lot of questions as to who, what, when, where, and how did all of this happen. Well, I heard you say that, you know, it started out with Diana Richardson, and then the, you know, the changing of the guard, so to speak. So now someone signed off on all of this development and everything. I'm not certain how we can address that with the community board, and maybe if someone can brief me, or, you know, give me some insight as to where we can go, because I heard Janice say that you know, the ink is not dry. So, you know, there's always going to be hope for something that can happen, or some changes, as we, you know, see so often. So I'm just trying to understand a little bit about the community board, as far as how far of a reach do we have as a community board? Why is it that developers can come in, they can purchase property, they can go change or get special zoning, and then they can do whatever they want? By the time we know anything, the building is built, people are displaced, it's affordable housing for those who can afford it. And then we talk about the you know, the income, the medium income in this area. So I'm a little bit perplexed, because I feel like I'm all over the place right now, you know, because it's so much and it's very overwhelming. I'm staying on board because I'm gonna do what I have to do along with everyone else. But I'm just saying that, you know, I don't know what to say about that large development at this point. Where do we go from here? Even if we were to address that issue itself, where do we go as a housing committee from here? Who do we need to speak to? Who signed off on the development or the change of how it was supposed to go? I'm not sure if that information was disseminated to the community board. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Diane. I might actually take this in backwards order from so Diane to Lisa to Dante, just because, yeah, I appreciate all of your feedback. So Diane, what I'm going to say to you is almost the purpose of this meeting today was to be a little bit all over the place, so that we could I could basically get a sourcing of what's on people's mind related to housing. So if you're feeling the all over the place, that means we've done a great job of actually talking about all of the different issues. And I think part of our goals and part of our goals and mission this year will be to hone that, focus in on it, and kind of make sense of all of it. So thanks for bearing with us this meeting. I really just wanted to have the open conversation. Lisa, I love that suggestion of, kind of creating a mission for this year. Yes, it goes beyond solar panels and the development. And what I heard was sort of overarching affordability. I think personally that a lot of what we need to do as a community board is get answers to some of our questions, which means reaching out to representatives' offices, you know, better understand how they're addressing housing at the city level, at the state level. You know, talk to tenants organizations so that we understand sort of what's first and foremost on their minds, and homeowners associations. I've already talked to Dante about trying to invite some of them to some of our next meetings, and Dante, you're here, so you know, expect a follow-up for me on that. But so I think some, you know, part of this will be listening, and you know, I'm gonna, maybe what I'll do is kind of draft a mission based on what we've heard today, and kind of get feedback on it for the next meeting. But yeah, I want to make sure that we're focused and sort of clear on what we're doing, because I've definitely had experience on the community board where I didn't have that and was not sure, and then you're just kind of floating out there being like, how do I do something? So just echoing that, and want to kind of come to some clarity even next meeting. And then I see you, Yanela, and I'll come to you in just a second. I do just want to make sure I'm doing the right thing with the fact that a resolution was offered up, was suggested, it was seconded, and Dante made a suggestion, I think directly relating to that resolution, that we should maybe consider the solar panels resolution in the context of the City of Yes initiative. Is that what you were saying? And sort of get a little bit more information on that before moving forward on a single resolution.
Right, exactly.
Okay. Which I'm definitely open to. I'm gonna make sure I circulate amongst the board the City of Yes info session that happened yesterday. I was not able to make it either. So I will make sure that also gets circulated. So is it okay for me to punt the resolution to next time so that we can have that conversation in City of Yes? I don't know how to address the fact that it's been seconded. So do we now vote on whether we should hold that resolution or not? Sorry, I'm still learning these these rules.
Right, no problem. Yeah, so you would need, you just did discussion, so you would need a motion to table that current motion.
Cool. I know, it's hilarious, Jay. Yeah. So can I get a motion to table that motion until the October meeting, to be clear? So we're not deferring it till forever. I will tell you, we will readdress this in the October meeting. Can I get a motion for that?
Motion to table.
Thank you.
You
And
need
now I need a second. Yeah.
I second the motion.
Okay. Thank you, Rod. Okay, great. And now we're okay. Cool.
And also, just for information, that act, I just looked up the law, I couldn't remember it. It's the Georgia's Solar Easement Act of 1978.
Thank
Whereas,
you.
yeah, so if buildings to be constructed, the person basically who will be affected by the building will have the opportunity to create and negotiate an easement with the contractor or the building construction person, the GC.
Thank you.
Okay.
As a Georgian native, I have some skepticism of things that came out of the Georgia House, but we'll look into it.
I know.
But
All I can say is that some people in my development down there have utilized this law quite effectively. That's all I have to say.
all right. I have no doubt that they have. So yeah, okay. I am committed to ending in 2 minutes. So what I'm gonna say is this. We have a full plate for our next meeting, which is very exciting. We're gonna talk about our mission. We're gonna talk about this resolution. We are going to invite, see if we can invite Assembly Member Cunningham to the meeting. If not, we'll have another guest. My hope is that we'll have another guest to kind of continue our understanding of the broader issues and what's being done about it. Yeah, and we'll probably continue. Yes, and I see you, Nella and Janice, and then we're gonna end.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to say it's we are focusing on affordability of the new build, and also we have to look at the quality of life of the existing residents in the neighborhood.
Yes, agree.
Yeah, so that would go hand in hand, the affordability as well as the quality of life of the existing residents that's there.
Great. Janice has 30 seconds and Jay has 30 seconds, and then we will close.
Okay, I just want to quickly say that I love the idea of a mission statement. I love the idea of actually scaling things down to what is doable within this housing committee and what we can send on to the board to pass. I love the idea about the solar panels. I love that you're going to try to get Brian Cunningham and all the other representatives to come in and tell us about housing that, you know, we may not be up to date on. I'm not up to date on Vital Brooklyn. I don't know. I need somebody to come and tell me from the representative level. And I also just want to say, if this were a game that we were playing, I would ask everybody to just say one word to sum up what they want to get out of this housing committee. And for me, I have a lot of words, but I would probably say quality of life in housing in the community, but then that's not one word. So I'm just saying that I'm looking forward to the next meetings.
Thanks, Janice. Me too.
Yes.
Jay, 30 seconds. I'm really trying to stick to my word of 8:30, but I'm already at 8:31.
Okay, I wanted to thank you, Erin, for providing your email address, because I have been around CB17, CB9. I always reach out to like the chair of the committee and I ask for their email address. Half of the time, I've had the committee chairs that say, contact the district manager, contact the board, you're not getting mine. So the fact that not only did you give it, but you volunteered it, I think is significant, and I think really says something to the whole committee of the type of business that's coming and your character, and I appreciate that, number one. And number two, if people didn't get enough out of spending an hour and a half here in this discussion, and if they still need more time, they can go for another hour and a half right now to very easy to the website saynotoless.com, and you click on Zoom. You don't even need to be registered. You click on Zoom and there'll be a neighborhood conversation from 8:30 on. And so if you go to saynotoless.com, we're going to start it at 8:30. It should have started, and no registration. You just hit the Zoom button. You'll be in there. And just to thank Rod Herbert for his efforts. Rob has been at the Cunningham meeting at 5:30. So it started at 5:30. He's going to be working probably until 10 o'clock tonight on all of this community activism, because his meeting, we usually go until 10. So I appreciate the efforts of everyone. Thank you. And the one word I would say, by the way, somebody said, what's the word I would say? I would say hashtag justice for East Flatbush. That's what I think about this Vital Brooklyn stuff. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Well, I will go hashtag grateful for all of you. Excited to be working with you. And I will adjourn this meeting at 8:33 p.m. Looking forward to it. See many of you at the general board meeting in a couple weeks or next week, something like that. And see you, all of you, I hope, again in October. So thank you.
Okay, have a
Thank
good night.
you. Thanks.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.